Part 46. Transmigration, First Class Immortal Husband. Author, North Wind Blows. Chapter 451. The third pot of elixir has begun, and Guyao on the stage is still unhurriedly throwing the spirit grass. Compared with the first two pots, there is no difference. I didn't think it before, but now the audience off the stage only thinks that this elixir master is clearly determined, confident, and calm. At the time of the second pot of pills, they were still not optimistic about Guyao, and felt that he had no chance of winning over Gao Tian, but the result of the second pot slammed on their faces, which made them quickly reverse their views, and the banner of victory had been turned on one side. Guyao is here. When many people chatted, they gave Gao Tian sympathy and subtle gloating glances. This challenge was initiated by Gao Tian, but in the end he lost to the alchemist he challenged. This result is expected to make Feng Ming the monks in the city and the entire Fengzhou laughed for decades. How could he be so reckless to humiliate himself? Jin Qiu hates and is anxious. If possible, of course she is willing to do all kinds of small movements to make Guyao unable to practice, but in the eyes of the public, especially when there is a fit cultivator present, her small movements are destined to be impossible to achieve, but will let senior brother reputation is even more questioned, adding to the woes. Master, you have to help senior brother can't lose. Jin Long anxiously sent a voice transmission to Master. She knew enough about Gao Tian, so she knew very well that Gao Tian was nervous now, worried about the loss this time, and her mood changed. Shen Xing drank the spirit tea slowly, but he always had some consciousness to pay attention to Guyao's alchemy situation, glanced at the golden ball lightly, with a warning in his eyes. Your senior brother can't afford to lose this face. You master, can you afford to lose face like this? Don't treat everyone else as a fool. Jin Long's pupils shrank slightly. The master is angry, and the master will not risk his reputation to be damaged to help senior brother. Jin Long's fist hidden under his sleeve was clenched tightly. He just hated that he was too weak to help senior brother. Damn. If senior brother loses, she will never spare this named Yao. Qi Changjai, who had a feeling, raised his eyes to look at Jin Yu. His eyes were dim. Su Chen also found it, and his consciousness hummed, this stinky girl. When did the alchemist in Lingzhou fall to the point where he couldn't afford to lose? Span. Gao Tian challenged the fourth grade top pill with his cultivation in the late stage of virtual refining. The formation on the stage rose in time, so that the blasting did not hurt the alchemist himself, and Guyao on the other side was not affected in the slightest, and he still controlled the situation in the alchemy furnace without hesitation. Gao Tim doesn't seem to be annoyed by this fryer. While cleaning the pill stove behind the fryer, he cleaned up the sundries, so as not to leave impurities and affect the refining of the next stove, while adjusting his mood. Invested in the second furnace refining this time. There was a lot of concealment under the stage. This time Gao Tian's fryer made the monks less optimistic about him. However, the third-grade alchemists on the stage could see it very clearly. This fryer was under the control of Gao Tian. Because he foresaw that even if the pill could be produced this time, the quality of the pill would not be too high, so he simply destroyed the pill. Although it is a smart move, who can guarantee that the quality of the next two batches of pills will definitely surpass Guyao? In comparison, Guyao's posture was much more calm than his. Originally waiting for the opening of the spirit stones, I was also so angry that I scolded Jiaoshan. If you don't have the skills, don't run out to challenge others, so that they will lose the spirit stones together. Who should be responsible for this account? The most happy is the Kahi family. I can't wait to announce to all the monks that they are going to make a lot of spirit stones. Who would dare to do it again in the future? Said that their penguins have bad eyesight. Obviously they have the best eyes. The speed of Guyao's alchemy was originally behind that of Gao Tian, but because he blew up the furnace once, his progress was ahead of Gao Tian. Although he received a lot of resentment, he hoped that his alchemy would go wrong this time, but he was still orderly. At the last step of the ground, the tempting Dang Xiang was already floating on the stage. When it was the third round, there were a lot of cultivators and even cultivators in the square. Fengming City was going to have an additional alchemist who could refine 4th grade superb pills. How could they not pay attention? Now their focus is not on the loss of the two, but to see if Gu Yao can refine the top grade 4th grade top pill, which has a very different meaning. The pill is about to be released, and countless pairs of eyes are staring at the pill furnace in front of Gu Yao. With a hum sound, the elixir began to spew out from the furnace. A total of 9 pills were sprayed into the air. The elixir seemed extremely mysterious in the eyes of everyone. This is the Rahudan refined by Gu Yao, and it is difficult to refine. It is already close to the 3rd grade primary pill. When the 9 Roydans got into the jade bottle, the mysterious feeling dissipated, and everyone was at a loss. Then they realized that they had not noticed the quality of the 9 pills, and they were all attracted by the mysterious aura of the pills themselves. When the jade bottle was delivered to Alchemy Chiu was also a little excited, and he would announce the appearance of Royden. After careful appraisal, Alchemist Chiu happily announced, 4th grade top grade Rahudan, 3 top grade pills, and 6 high grade pills. The elders from Dingxian Pavilion and the 3rd grade alchemist side, the future generations are terrifying, and it is just around the corner if you want to enter the ranks of 3rd grade alchemists. Alchemist Chiu is also very skeptical. Now that Gu Yao can refine a 3rd grade primary pill material, he has already stepped into the ranks of 3rd grade pill masters. The people in the casino were heartbroken when they heard the result, and asked the people around them, is it possible that the man named Gao Tian is better than Alchemist Yao? This, it seems a little less likely. I was afraid that telling the truth would annoy the other party. The person who asked the question was even more heartbroken, covering his heart with a twisted face. Golden Ball's eyes are spitting fire. This actually dares to beat senior brother. She has always known Gao Tian's achievements in refining the top pills, and the best results of senior brother can't be compared. Huang Ruyu also looked at Gu Yao in disbelief, who was walking towards Zhang Jingfeng after cleaning up the pill furnace. He was really stunned, and it was another nameless pill master who defeated Heaven's Chosen One, just like Giwen Pavilion back then. The situation reappeared, and Xinhu seemed to be hit hard. Kui Xian also didn't like the alchemist surnamed Yao, because in her eyes, the surnamed Yao was the same as the surnamed Gu several decades ago. Back then, the surnamed Gu caused her apprentice to give birth to inner demons and made her suffer. He was expelled from Giwen Pavilion by the pavilion owner. But this time it should be different. Kui Xian's eyes flashed maliciousness, and she sent a voice transmission to her disciple. Back then, when the pavilion master stood beside that kid in Giwen Pavilion, we would be weak, but this time is different. The surnamed Yao thinks that if you lose Gao Tian, you will become famous. Ruyu, do you really think that those alchemists in Lingzhou will let outsiders step on them? Look, this time, there is no alchemist from Lingzhou to stand by him to make him arrogant. What he is provoking is the alchemist of the whole Lingzhou. Huang Ruyu was overjoyed. Yes, no one stood by Yao's side to support him this time. Master, do you think this Yao Danqi is the same person? The same young, the same extraordinary alchemy, the same before this fame, the same blockbuster. Kui Xian's eyes flickered, his cultivation was progressing too fast. I'm afraid no one would believe it, but Master has a way. Shen Xing also looked at Gu Yao's back for a while before withdrawing his gaze, agreeing with others' words. Yes, the future generations are terrifying. This disciple of mine is used to it, so he should be taught a lesson and let him know that there are other people. Jin Qiu was very upset when she heard it, but this was her master, so she took all her anger on Gu Yao. Gao Tian's second furnace played better than the first, so there was no more frying. When there was a roar in the pill furnace, many people showed a look of regret. In order to refine the top grade 4 pills, as long as he becomes a pill, he can look down on many fourth-grade alchemists, which is a very good achievement, but he can't think of challenging Guyao, who is a master in refining the virtual, but Guyao is not. Ordinary alchemist. Gao Tian put the elixir into the jade bottle. Although he felt that he did not perform abnormally this time, or even considered it well, he still had no confidence in the result, especially when he saw Guyao refining the elixir and returning to the stands. He felt even more in his heart. Is drumming. Alchemist Chu took over the pills, and it turned out that he could see clearly when the pills were released, but he still carefully identified them according to the procedure: 4 grade top-grade Xiang pills, 2 high-grade pills, 4 middle-grade pills, and 3 low-grade pills. Despite knowing the result, many people on the stage still made regretful voices. Gao Tian tightened his fists. Did he really lose? Jin Long suddenly stood up and said loudly, "My senior brother is only in the late stage of virtual refining, and he is not comparable to Yao Danji's mastery in virtual refining. Dare I ask if Yao Danji was better than my senior in alchemy in the late stage of virtual refining?" Guyao was stunned. Originally, he wanted to be humble about this result, saying that he won by cultivation, but he didn't expect to be robbed first. When he said this, others could hear that he was going down the steps for the other party, but by when the other party said it, the meaning was very different. Since the other party doesn't want the steps, why should Guyao show weakness? He smiled and said, "Your Excellency said yes, that's it, but unfortunately I can't go back to the late stage of virtual refining, and have another test with Master Gao." You. Golden Ball was furious. "Shut up." Gao Tian became angry first. Jin Long's words would only make him more embarrassed. Now that he has come this far, he doesn't want to end up in the eyes of others who can't afford to lose. Seeing Jin Long, he closed his eyes in astonishment. Mouth, then turned to look at Guyao. "This time, Gao is not as good as others, I admit defeat. I hope I will have the opportunity to ask Yao Dan for a lesson in the future." "Okay," Guyao replied with a smile. "No wonder Gao Tian is a senior brother and Jin Ba is a junior sister. Whether it's superficial skills or something else, Gao Tian is much more graceful in his work." As Guyao expected, the way others saw Gao Tian also changed a bit. Although he lost the test, his strength is not weak. When his cultivation base reaches the final stage of refining the void, who is the difference between him and Guyao? It is not yet known whether the high or the low is high, and it is worth a book to admit defeat calmly. As for Jin Qiu, another alchemist from Lingzhou, he only had an arrogant image in the eyes of others. Transmigration, First-Class Immortal Husband. Author, North Wind Blows. Chapter 452. That day's challenge was over. Guyao was sent back to the guest house by Zhang Jingfeng's family as a key protection target. The monk who was prepared in his heart was nothing but the monk who had great doubts about him. "I just want to go back to the past and hug my neck, so that I can doubt Yao Danji's level of alchemy." The heated discussion in the entire Fengming city of this challenge will also remain high. Wherever you go, you can hear cultivators talking about the scene of that day. Many cultivators who watched the scene that day completely forgot their previous attitude, regarded himself as the number one admirer of Alchemist Yao, and heaped all the praise on Alchemist Yao. The pills that Guyao made that day returned to his hands, and he handed all these pills to Zhang Jingfeng to deal with. So many monks, merchants, and other forces eagerly contacted Zhang Jingfeng. Wanting to get the need for pill in his hand also includes the merchants who had previously discontinued cooperation with the shop under the name of Zhang Jingfeng. A copy of the invitations were sent to Zhang Jingfeng, and some cultivators simply sent inquiries directly based on their identities, and asked Zhang Jingfeng to make a price, no matter how high the price was, as long as they could get the best pill. Compared with the cold reception before the challenge, it is now earth-shattering, and Zhang Jingfeng's mood is extremely complicated, especially when the challenge ended that day. Dingxian Pavilion, the elder and the third-grade alchemist also took the initiative to talk to him for a while. expressed his affirmation to him inside and out, and asked him to continue. The limelight became so fast, and fortunately, he was not unprepared. The mood is complicated, and the things that have been prepared before are still to be done. Zhang Jingfeng asked the shop under his name to first release a batch of top-grade pills refined by Guyao, and the best-grade pills will be publicly auctioned at the auction. As soon as the words were released, there was a queue at the door of the shop selling medicinal pills. Most cultivators knew that they had no luck with the top-grade pills, and that was what the bosses were fighting for, so they still tried to find a way to grab a top-grade pill. Fortunately, Zhang Jingfeng is prepared to sell in limited quantities every day, otherwise these medicinal pills will be sold out in a very short time. The follow-up effect brought by the limited sales is very good, driving the sales of other items in the shop, and those businesses also take the initiative to continue the supply that was interrupted. Zhang Jingfeng didn't take them seriously. When will there be less things like red and white in the spiritual world, and he doesn't have the strength to care about them now. This transformation caused Wu Yuan to smash several teacups. Of course, this was only superficial. What did he do behind the scenes to vent his anger? Only he and his confidants knew. Gao Tian, what does it mean to have more than enough success and more than failure? That's what they are like. It is clear that Zhang Jingfeng is about to be sunk. It is not the chance that Wu Yuan and Gao Tian sent them up. Zhang Jingfeng has risen so quickly. It is clear that there are no more useful alchemists on Zhang Jingfeng's side, but as soon as the challenge is over, many alchemists have expressed their intentions to Zhang Jingfeng's side. As long as there is Yao alchemist, they are willing to join Zhang Jingfeng's side. The alchemist who was poached before, regretted a lot, and wanted to go back after handing over the words. I can't wait any longer. We were able to pull Zhang Jingfeng off his horse before, and now we can pull him again. It's not just a fourth-grade alchemist. The third-grade alchemist has been poached for him before, so I don't believe in a fourth-grade alchemist. The alchemist still can't move. Without these fourth-grade alchemists, Zhang Jingfeng's current great situation will immediately collapse. That's right, the key lies in this Yao Danqi, and then we have to see each of us show off our magical powers, who has the ability to take care of Zhang Jingfeng's side. He dug over. Everyone thought about it in their hearts, and they didn't fail to envy Zhang Jingfeng's good luck. They had all reached a low point, and they were able to find someone like Alchemist Yao and bounced back from the bottom. People around Zhang Jingfeng were also worried that Gu Yao would be poached, so he proposed to Zhang Jingfeng to isolate Gu Yao from contact with outsiders, but he rejected it. No cultivator liked this approach, not to mention that Gu Yao knew early in the morning that he would meet him. The one was Ling Zhou alchemist, and he still had some confidence in himself. In fact, Zhang Jingfeng also discovered one thing, that is, he felt that Gu Yao and Senior Su, unlike other alchemists, seemed to have less respect for Ling Zhou, which made Zhang Jingfeng have a wild hope in his heart. Dingxian Pavilion is going all out to help Gu Yao open up the situation in Lingzhou. After that, can Dingxian Pavilion become Gu Yao's agent instead of just circling around the periphery of Lingzhou? It's just that if he said this ambition, it is estimated that few people in the high-level cabinet would dare to believe him, and would not think that Gu Yao has this ability. Therefore, the first step is to stand out from this round of competition and become the final winner before gaining the right to speak in Dingxian Pavilion. Just as the spirit stones received from various casinos were delivered, Zhang Jingfeng brought a large sum of spirit stones to Gu Yao and the others. Of course, the casinos wanted to take down this spiritual stone. These casinos all have backers, but I didn't expect that the person who went to collect the bills would be Wei Wei next to Zhang Jingfeng. Everyone knew who Wei Wei represented. Besides, he is still a fit cultivator. If he wants to repay his debt, unless he doesn't want to live, he can only dig out the spirit stones honestly, and every one of them bleeds from his heart. When Zhang Jingfeng arrived, Gu Yao was receiving the monks from the Penguin family. When they sent the greeting card, Gu Yao hadn't spoken yet. Su Chen responded first, and then saw the monks with round bodies. When he came in, Su Chen saw his eyes and smiled. Seeing them, Zhang Jingfeng thought of what Wei Wei told him. In addition to the bet they and Su Chen Qi Changjai had bet on Guyao, there was also a group of monks who bet on Guyao, and Wei Wei went to collect the spirit stone. When I happened to meet, it was the penguin family. The casino also wanted to default on the debt, but when he saw that it was a monk from the penguin tribe, he became a squib. This race is so special that few monks are willing to provoke them. The monks of this race are very united. One is bullied, and they are a group of them. Although the monks of the Kahi tribe are not too strong, there are big men behind them. The Kahi tribe and the White Bear tribe have always been neighbors. The excellent one, bullying the penguins is equivalent to bullying the white bears, and the white bears are much stronger than the penguins. In the end, the penguins were sent away and Wei Wei was welcomed back. The monks who opened the market in various casinos wanted to cry. That was 100 times the odds. Young Master Zhang, you're here too. It just so happens that fellow Daoist Kixing from the Penguin clan and his fellow clan are here. Guyao welcomed Zhang Jingfeng and said. Qi Xing was the demon cultivator who Guyao and the other three met that day, who were fighting for the robe with another female cultivator. Zhang Jingfeng was startled. It turns out that the young patriarch of the Penguin clan is here, and someone from Nujiang has lost his way to welcome him. The old Kixing was sitting there on the ground, waving his chubby hand and saying that it's okay, the patriarch of this young man is actually not willing to reveal his identity, but that is for others. Of course it is different for Yao Danji. Yao Danji is our lucky star, helped us get a lot of spirit stones. Zhang Jingfeng couldn't help laughing. No wonder Guyao was willing to see these demon cultivators. Guyao also laughed. Talking to these demon cultivators would make him feel very good. He pointed to a plate of ice spirit fruit on the table and said, "This is a young man." What the patriarch sent, Zhang Xiao also tasted it. Zhang Jingfeng was startled again. This ice spirit fruit is a special product of the Kahi clan. It is very difficult for outsiders to get it. If you want to force it, you will not be able to enter it, because it will disturb their neighbors. In addition to being linguo, the Kahi family is actually very good at raising fish. The ice spirit fish in their clan is also very distinctive. Zhang Jingfeng is a little envious of Guyao, and the young patriarch will definitely take action. Zhang Jingfeng handed the spirit stone to Su Chen, and Su Chen and Qi Changjai and Guyao shared them. Su Chen looked at the Lingxi mountain in the storage bag and squinted his eyes. Okay, great. Thank you Zhang Xiao. Without Zhang Xiao to come forward, these Lingxi can't be given to us so easily. Zhang Jingfeng smiled and said, "This is what we should do." Qi Xing said in surprise, "So you guys also made a bet?" "Sure enough, you have the same good vision as us. Next time, if something good happens, we will dislike Lingxi together." Su Chen was amused and laughed. They were still different from the penguins. The penguins didn't think that betting too much would cause others attention and trouble. They only bet on Danji Yao in one handicap, but they won. Su Chen didn't want to attract attention before Guyao won, so he scattered the spiritual stones on various markets. It was not until Wei Wei took the voucher to collect the stones one by one, and the incident came to light. Added a lot of topics to the monks outside. Qi Xing felt that he and Guyao were his own, holding a storage bag, and said eagerly, "Yao alchemist, your alchemy skills are so good, give us some ice-type elixirs, we will only ask you to do alchemy in the future, okay?" Qi Xing had a round body and a bulging face. He blinked a pair of black and white eyes and leaned in. In Guyao's eyes, he was very pleasing. To be honest, knowing that they were betting on himself, Guyao would not bet against them. Pushing it out, this is fate. Okay, your materials are ready, then I'll practice it for you. Don't blame me if you don't practice well. No, among those alchemists, I think Yao alchemist's alchemy is the best. Just like the other day when I said Yao Alchemist can win, Yao Alchemist really won. Yao Alchemist, don't worry, we have prepared enough materials, you need whatever is there. Along with the materials handed over, there is also the list of medicinal pills. Gu Yao glanced at it and put it down. It was all within his ability, not beyond it. The penguin family still knew it, and then glanced at the spirit grass in the storage bag. A little surprised. Only need the pills on this list. Chi Sing Sing nodded again and again. Yes, yes, if Alchemist Yao thinks it's too much, it's okay to reduce it a little bit. He gestured for a short distance with his hands, not too much. The smile on Gu Yao's face widened. You don't need to reduce it, just do as you said. When the medicinal herbs are finished, I will send a message to the young patriarch. Okay, okay. Chi Changjai also glanced at it. No wonder Xiaoao is so happy, because the amount of materials given by the little patriarch of the penguin is very large, which is much more than what he needs for Dan, and the quality of these ice-type spirit grass is also very good. Maybe the humble penguin the clan is a very rich race. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Transmigration, First Class Immortal Husband. Author, North Wind Blows. Chapter 453. After sending off the penguins and Zhang Jingfeng, Su Chen and the three happily divided the spirit stones. With 100 times the odds, the spirit stones they got were not a small number. Su Chen felt that he had lived for so many years. This time it was the best time ever. The things that people around Zhang Jingfeng are most worried about have come. Various methods of digging corners emerge in an endless stream, some of which are carried out in private, such as letters and jade slips that fell into their living room, which promise various benefits, and some simply come in an open and honest manner. For example, the alchemist who came to visit, said to Gu Yao bluntly that he was destined to have no future on Zhang Jingfeng's side. Balabala said a lot, and when he wanted to continue, he was invited out by Chi Changjai with a cold face. Unexpectedly, after that, rumors spread in Fengmingjinj, saying that Yao Danqi became arrogant as soon as he was successful. Look down on fellow practitioners, and turn away fellow practitioners who come to the door to exchange alchemy techniques. Su Chen went out for a turn, and when he came back, he repeated the rumors he heard outside to Gu Yao, which made Gu Yao extremely helpless. Su Chen said that such rumors will definitely not be less in the future. The person who let you win is from Lingzhou, and he is destined to be on the cusp of the limelight. Look, there are still people sending challenge books to your door these days, right? I don't think they have the guts to challenge Gao Tian. It's not that persimmons are soft and they want to use you as a stepping stone. Gu Yao didn't answer any of those challenge books. He was stupid enough to accept these meaningless competitions. It was at this time that the auction planned by Zhang Jingfeng started, because the auction list was sent to Gu Yao and the others ahead of time, so that those who were interested could make the deal privately first, or someone else would entrust it to the auction, and they could do it by themselves at the scene. People took it and bought it, so the three of them didn't join in the fun. Taking advantage of other people's attention on the auction, Chi Changjai took Gu Yao out for a walk. Although he used a trick, it was of no use to cultivators whose cultivation base exceeded theirs. Of course, did the three of them deliberately fish like this? It's hard to say. During this time, Zhang Jingfeng also sent a lot of organized information about Lingzhou. After reading the information, Su Chen didn't seem to have so much fun. According to the data, although there is a rank 1 alchemist in Lingyun building, it is also at the bottom of the first-class forces in Lingzhou. It is said that it is more difficult for the first-rank alchemist to advance, and it is also more difficult for the first-rank primary alchemist to become a Dan, but no matter what said, he also stepped into the ranks of a rank 1 alchemist, a respected almighty in the entire spiritual world. Sitting in the restaurant and drinking a few cups of spirit wine, Su Chen suddenly gave birth to Tan Xing, the owner of Lingyuan Building is also an old acquaintance of mine. At that time he was almost a character like Shen Xing, and the status of Lingyuan Building was it's not as good as it is now, it's only a second-rate force. Who would have thought that when I came back, that guy had already become the owner of Lingyuan Building, bringing Lingyuan Building into a first-class force. Alchemists in the building were so popular when they came out and walked. Senior. Gu Yao is a little worried. Does Su Chen feel that things are wrong now, and he is not happy, and he does not know what the relationship between this landlord and Su Chen was in the past, whether it is an enemy or a friend. However, he had an intuition that Shen Xing and his disciples would leave Lingzhou and appear in Fengming's Hu. There is a high possibility that they came for the senior or him, or more precisely, for the Pill Pavilion. In that case, the position may be contradictory. Qi Changjai grabbed Gu Yao's hand, interrupted what he was about to say, picked up the wine glass and touched Su Chen's. It's not easy for seniors to see the old one, and the old one came to the door before. Su Chen was thinking about how likely he was to smash Qi Changjai on his head with a wine glass. How likely is Gu Yao to stand on his side? Gu Yao snickered, actually thinking about the seniors who don't need his comfort and persuasion, nor is he envious of other people's current scenery, otherwise this. It's going to be crazy after a few years. How can it be like wandering around and having fun all day now? Gu Yao was also curious when it came to the old memories he brought to his door. He didn't know where the master was now. Did he run into trouble, so he didn't even show his face? Cough. He did not deny his curiosity about the relationship between the master and the senior, so he specially asked Zhang Jingfeng to collect information about the blood slaughter monk, and maybe he could see the senior's figure from it, which would be helpful to understand the senior's past. Su Chen rolled his eyes at the two of them and fanned himself vigorously with a fan, but still reminded, anyway, I don't like this Lingyuan building, so don't look at them. Just say cao 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 cao, come on, watch it for yourself. Gu Yao and Qi Changjai glanced at the window, and sure enough, they saw Gao Tian coming, and he appeared with Huang Ruyu. The two looked at each other, but they did not care about Huang Ruyu and Kui Xian, the master and apprentice. What kind of good feelings, even if they have changed their appearance and even their voices, it is hard to say that Huang Ruyu will not connect the current Yao alchemist with the old Gu Yao. They looked down, Gao Tian and Huang Ruyu were just looking up, and when they found them, Gao Tian immediately smiled and walked into the restaurant with his feet raised. Su Chen didn't look outside, and knew who was coming. Chao Gu Yao smiled a little, gloating. After a while, there was a knock on the door, and it was naturally Gao Tian and Huang Ruyu who came. Gu Yao politely invited them to be seated, and asked the man to bring more wine and food. Gao Tian originally came to Gu Yao, he was polite and sat down. Outside the guest house where Gu Yao and the others lived, someone sent by Wu Yuan was watching. When the three of Gu Yao came out, they used the I formation, but it is suspicious that the three of them traveled together. Gao Tian glanced at Gu Yao and Qi Changjai with a half-smile, and said, I haven't asked you about your surnames. As for Gao, I don't need to introduce Gao, this is junior sister Huang Ruyu. She traveled with her master, and junior sister Ruyu's alchemy skills are also very good. Gu Yaoxin said, this is the temptation. He did not avoid Huang Ruyu's inquiring gaze, and replied, Alchemist Gao is polite, Yao has not been famous before, how can he compare with Alchemist Gao? My surname is Yao, Yao Fei Yang is me, this is my senior brother Yechuz Hung. Su Chen and Qi Changjai twitched the corners of their eyes when they heard these two names. They didn't say it well before. Gu Yao was clearly talking nonsense with his eyes open, and one used the name of Tian Firong and his elder brother Tian Fei Yang, while Qi Changjai simply used the road. Qia Sheng's name is Ye Ye. Originally, Gu Yao didn't want to spend such a long time, but Huang Ruyu, who knew their situation in the barren state, was helpless, so he had to make a move on the name. It turned out to be Daiyu Ye. If you can enter the eyes of Master Yao, Daiyu must be extraordinary. I don't know this senior. Gao Tian looked at him again. Su Chen. Su Chen looked at Guyao and saw how Guyao continued to make up. Guyao rolled his eyes in his heart, but said with a smile on his face, "This is my senior brother and I's uncle Su Yan. My senior brother and I went out to travel. Master was not worried about our safety, so I asked my senior uncle to follow us all the way." Gao Tian clasped his fists with both hands. It turned out to be Senior Su. It seems that Yao Dan is a great teacher. I wonder if Gao will have a chance to visit. Well, this trial is endless, Guyao continued to make up, it can't be compared to Lingyun Tower, our master's door is insignificant in the spiritual world, if Master Gao Dan is interested, senior brother and I will welcome you on the couch. Guyao really can't make up a temporary sect at this time. He and Qi Changjai, an alchemist and a sword cultivator, can be self-contained. Or can it be called Danjianmen? Okay, Gao Tian replied, I will definitely go there. I also want to see what kind of sect can cultivate such an outstanding alchemist as Yao Daiyu. Gao Tianxin said that the situation of the two did not match what Huang Ruyu said, especially that there was an extra uncle. You must know that the two people Huang Ruyu mentioned are from the lower realm, and the teacher must also be in the lower realm. He only kept these thoughts in his heart, but his face seemed very friendly, but the unique arrogance from Lingyun Tower in Lingzhou still showed from time to time, and then he naturally introduced the situation in Lingzhou to Guyao, according to him in other words, if the alchemist does not go to Lingzhou, it will be the biggest regret in life. Lingzhou is also known as Danzhou. This time, the auction held by Zhangshao has attracted many cultivators. It is not the best Dan, but in our Danzhou, disciples like us have been practicing since childhood. Dan, so we have the least erysipelas in our bodies, and the speed of cultivation is much faster than the monks next to us. I believe that no sect outside Lingzhou has such a handwriting. Guyao had never heard of such a thing before, so he was naturally surprised, and Huang Ruyu's emotions were more clear, complex, and envious. No wonder the alchemist in the spiritual world regards Lingzhou as a holy place. Everyone yearns for it, not to mention those alchemy inheritances, this alone is enough to drive countless monks crazy. Even though she was brought into Giwan Pavilion by her master early in the morning, and she had countless spiritual items for her to eat since she was a child, she thought she was superior, but compared to Gao Tian, she was still worse than the boss. Dan rarely saw it a few times. At this moment, she yearned for Lingzhou more and more, and her gaze towards Gao Tian became softer. The master said that if there is no martial force to accept her, trying to become Gao Tian's Taoist partner is also a shortcut for her, but when she thinks of Jinkaiyu, her eyes darken again, and she believes that she is no worse than Jinkaiyu. Jin Qiu was born in such an environment, and she would definitely not be inferior to Jin Long, but would only do better, but Jin Qiu seemed to regard Gao Tian as his own, and saw that she was slightly different from Gao Tian. I can't wait to tear her up when I get close. But as long as Jin Zhan is only Gao Tian's junior sister and not a Taoist companion, she will have a chance. Guyao nodded in agreement, yes, I have traveled so many places, and I have never heard of a disciple of any section they have been practicing with the best pills since childhood. Lingzhou is really amazing and can bear the title of the Holy Land of Pill Masters. Transmigration, First Class Immortal Husband. Author, North Wind Blows. Chapter 454. That's what Gao Tian was waiting for. He put on an appearance of thinking about Guyao, and said, don't hide it from Alchemist Yao, this time I went out to travel with my master and my sister, and I also shoulder the task of searching for talented alchemists for our Lingyun building. A brilliant and young alchemist like Yao Danji is exactly what we need in Lingyun building. As for the teacher behind Yao Danji doesn't have to worry, Yao Danji can join us as a foreign aid guest of our Lingyun building. A glint of jealousy flashed in Huang Ruyu's eyes. Gao Tian put so much effort into this alchemist Yao, but she and her master could not get such treatment, and he also asked himself about Gu Yao, who had defeated him before, also seems very interested. Gu Yao made a statement of interest. "Oh, why are you looking for foreign aid to join? Didn't alchemist Gao already look for alchemy master Huang to join?" Gao Tian laughed twice. How did Huang Ruyu's master and apprentice get into his eyes? Even Giwan Pavilion was not able to stand out and was driven out. Lingyun Tower really had to accept them before calling the price down, unless it was like Yao Danqi. Otherwise, the various alchemy forces in Lingzhou would prefer to cultivate alchemy masters by themselves, so that they could have a solid foundation and would not be lacking in each stage. Presumably alchemist Yao, fellow deist Ye and senior Su have never been to Lingzhou, so I don't know much about the situation in Lingzhou. Lingzhou will have a small alchemy competition every 10 years, and a big alchemy competition every 100 years. The alchemy competition will only last for 12 years. The difference between the next alchemy competition and the previous one is that the forces in Lingzhou will decide on the number of places to enter the alchemy palace based on the results of the next alchemy competition. It was left by Dan Immortal, and since ancient times, there has been only one person in the entire spiritual world who can obtain the title of Dan Immortal. That is the senior who can really refine elixir, and he is a first-rank alchemist in Lingzhou. Opportunity for the government. Let's not talk about other things. As far as our master Fan of Lingyun Building was qualified to enter the Yufa Palace when he was a second-grade alchemist, he also gained something from the Yufa Palace. Entering the ranks of the first-grade alchemists, our Lingyun Building has also risen a big step. It can be said that our Lingyun Building has today's situation, and it is inseparable from the Dangxian Palace. Every alchemy force wants to fight for one more place, because it may bring an additional second-rank or even first-rank alchemist to the force. If Yao alchemist is not good enough, the master will not let me bring these words to the alchemy Yao, invite alchemy Yao to join us. Building. That's why our Lingyun Building is so open. Other forces will not welcome outsiders to join in and dilute their gains. Gu Yao listened with relish, but he didn't hear Zhang Jingfen mention this matter. Maybe it was a secret that only Lingzhou insiders knew, nor did Su Chen mention it. Of course, this was also related to Su Chen, who didn't like to mention Lingzhou matter. When Huang Ruyu saw these two people, one was able to talk and the other was happy, some words blurted out without thinking. Alchemist Yao has heard that there was also a genius alchemist in Huangzhou, his surname is ancient name Yao, just found out. When alchemist Yao, I thought it was alchemist Gu who changed his name and changed his surname to use his own name as his surname. Gu Yao raised his eyebrows as a sign of interest. He had indeed heard it a few times. When my uncle took us on a tour, we passed through Dongzhou. Gu alchemist, the three of us also wanted to meet this ancient alchemist for a while, but we couldn't find his whereabouts. The news came out, and some people said that the blood slaughter monk is a murderer without blinking an eye. It is very likely that this alchemist will lose his life. I have regretted it for a long time. It's really a pity for Yao. Chi Changjai blinked his eyes, otherwise he couldn't control the twitching of his eyelids. Seeing Gu Yao talking nonsense in a serious manner, how could he be so cute? It's not good to call himself a life-threatening situation, it's really not good. Take a lesson. Huang Ruyu was so choked that she couldn't speak, and even she felt a little far-fetched. How could a cultivator curse herself to death? She had never seen any cultivator brag about herself so shamelessly, and she felt sorry for it. Gao Tian continued, I've heard about the blood-slaughtering demon monk appearing in Dongzhou. In my opinion, that ancient alchemist is a lot worse than Yao alchemist, but Yao alchemist doesn't need to worry, although the blood-slaughtering monk is bloodthirsty. It's natural, but since it's not disadvantageous to take them with you, it's just that the blood-slaughter monk doesn't show up. It's not easy to find two cultivators in the vast crowd. After all, the spiritual world is too big, and maybe there will be opportunities in the future. Meet. Gu Yao expressed joy, that's great, I also hope that he is safe and sound. There is a chance to learn from each other in the future. Master Huang Dan, do you think? Huang Ruyu was disgusted, but she couldn't attack under Gao Tian's gaze, so she had to bite the bullet and say, yes. Gu Yao was even more happy. Su Chen waved his fan impatiently, but he was actually diverting his attention, otherwise he would have to spray. How could he not know that this guy Gu Yao could talk nonsense like this? And the girl Huang Ruyu is not good either. She suspects the identity of Shang Gu Yao, but she is confused by Gu Yao's performance. Gu Yao is also the guy who made this girl confused. Oops, it's too hot, I'll fan again. After saying goodbye to Gao Tian, the three of Gu Yao returned to the guest house. As soon as the door was closed, Gu Yao rubbed his stomach with all his might, and laughed until tears came out of his eyes. Qi Changjai reluctantly took over the job of rubbing his stomach, and said, I know now that I'm laughing badly. Haha, I didn't have such a chance to let me talk nonsense before. I couldn't stop it when I opened the gate. Haha, let me laugh for a while. Gu Yao smiled and fell on Qi Changjai, telling Su Chen not to see it. It's not as good as when you're in space. Su Chen tapped Gu Yao's head with a fan, and said displeasedly, good nephew, tell me, who is your master's last name? How come I don't know when there will be another senior or junior? Gu Yao smiled, senior can be an uncle if you like, or you can be a master if you want. Su Chen snorted twice, this is almost the same, he is taking the title of a master, but this is too casual. Do you understand respecting the teacher? That's right, senior. Gu Yao remembered what Gao Tian said about Dangxian, and was very curious. As for Gao Tian's invitation to join Lingyun Building, not to mention whether Gao Tian could be the owner of Lingyun Building, Gu Yao also I didn't agree immediately, I just said that I need to think about it. This Dan Immortal Relic Mansion and Dan Immortal have never heard about it from senior. Su Chen sighed and said, speaking of Pill Immortal, it is actually related to your kid. Gu Yao was shocked, could it be that? Yes, Su Chen affirmed that both of them were talking about the Pill Pavilion. Gu Yao is really amazing. Could it be that Dan Immortal is the previous owner of Dan Pavilion? In this way, the source of the source is really too big. It can be seen that there are many book collections in the Pill Pavilion that were collected by the masters of the past dynasties, and left behind their own experience in pill techniques. After reading those books, Gu Yao also he will copy some of his own experience and put it in the Pill Pavilion. Although it is not as good as the predecessors, it is still the result of his research, and it may not be useless to future generations. Could it be that the previous master was really able to refine elixir? Gu Yao is more looking forward to opening the top layer, there must be some pictures inside. Off records. Su Chen said, the reason why Lingzhou is also called Danzhou and has become a holy place for alchemists in the entire spiritual world is that the original situation was also created by the Dangxian. In fact, the reason why the senior is called Dangxian is because when he was in the spiritual world, his alchemy technique had already surpassed the first rank. As for whether he could make a real elixir, I doubt it. Of course, it is not ruled out that Senior Dangxian obtained immortal grass from the fragments of the fairy world and used it to refine it. Become an elixir. It is said that on the top floor of the Pill Pavilion, there is an elixir left by Senior Pill Immortal. As long as you take the elixir, you will undoubtedly ascend. When Su Chen said these words, he looked at Gu Yao and Qi Changjai with a half smile, and saw that they were both excited. So those people wanted to seize the Pill Pavilion, not for the Pill Pavilion itself, but for the top of the Pill Pavilion. The legendary elixir? Senior, don't scare me. Gu Yao shook in front of Su Chen. Bah! Why should I scare you? To scare you is not to scare me. Didn't you let the surname Zhang collect information on Lingzhou, but did not find that in those records? How many years did Lingzhou not have a first-rank alchemist? Now those first-rank alchemists don't dare to cross the heavenly tribulation, for fear of being smashed into ashes by the heavenly tribulation, and with that elixir, they can be smashed by the heavenly tribulation and soar directly. Su Chen ruthlessly exposed. Gu Yao scratched his head. He really didn't pay attention to the situation in this regard, now that I think about it. No, alchemist Yan Biacheng didn't say that several first-rank alchemists from the Pill Pavilion flew to the immortal realm because of their ascension. There is no successor, resulting in the power of the Pill Pavilion is not as good as before, and now there is only one rank 1 alchemist left. Could it be that future generations think that those seniors who can soar are only successful because they have obtained elixir? Gu Yao felt that there were still some things that didn't make sense, but he also knew that this alchemy pavilion was even worse than he thought. Do you think those first-rank alchemists have really ascended successfully? In order to maintain their status, it's not something they can't do to fool the spirit world. Su Chen sneered and said, "What do you think the forces in Lingzhou have done by themselves?" When the senior Dangxian wanted to spread the alchemy technique, he chose to open the door to teach apprentices in Lingzhou. After Immortal Realm, it was fine in a short period of time, but after a long time, those disciples were torn apart, and some important collections were lost in the process, so now all the alchemy forces in Lingzhou are the descendants of alchemy, and in fact there is no one. The power has the true inheritance of the senior Dangxian. Aren't you surprised? The alchemist holy land in the eyes of outsiders has such an ugly side. They are not as beautiful as you think. Transmigration, First-Class Immortal Husband. Author, North Wind Blows. Chapter 455. Gu Yao really didn't think that Lingzhou, as the holy place that alchemists yearned for, had such a reason, and he also vaguely felt that the various things in Lingzhou now completely depended on the original wishes of Senior Dangxian. This can be seen from the situation revealed by Gao Tian. Senior Dan Xian founded Dan Pavilion in Lingzhou. The purpose is to teach Dansha to the whole spirit world and cultivate Dan masters. Blockade, and enjoy high status. Not to mention, Gao Tian said that disciples like them have been taking top-grade pills since their cultivation, but the number of top-grade pills spread from Lingzhou is very limited, otherwise Zhang Jingfeng's current top-grade pills are not worth it. The auction is on. The best pill has become a rare commodity in the hands of all parties in Lingzhou, so as to obtain the resources of the entire spirit world. As a result, the status of Lingzhou has also been praised more and more by all parties. Lingzhou's pills the teacher is also full of arrogance, and does not take ordinary monks in his eyes. Of course, there are definitely some alternatives, such as Su Chen, but it is not easy for alternatives to survive in Lingzhou. It's no wonder that Senior didn't talk about these situations before, and it's more psychologically stressful to say it. Gu Yao told Qi Changjai privately that even now that he has completed his practice, he feels a lot of pressure. Qi Changjai held Gu Yao's hand and said, "Want to go?" Qi Changjai was referring to the Lingzhou alchemy competition 12 years later. Gu Yao nodded, "I want to go, but it is not the only way to go to Lingyunlu. We'd better go to Lingzhou to see the situation before making a decision." Qi Changjai supports Gu Yao's decision. With Dan Pavilion in his body, Gu Yao is destined to have an inextricable relationship with Lingzhou, not to mention Su Chen's relationship, so even if the water in Lingzhou is muddy, they must take this trip. Neither Shen Xin nor Gao Tian would trust them. On the other side, Gao Tian took Huang Ruyu back to the highest standard guest house arranged for them by Wu Yuan, leaving Huang Ruyu behind, and he went straight to the master to report. As soon as Gao Tian left, Jin Qiu showed his face, looking at Huang Ruyu as if he was poisoned. Seeing Kui Xian walking over from the other side, Jin Qiu sneered, "You two master and apprentice have all the stuff, you don't want it? With your face to the extreme, do you think you can really climb up to my senior brother? You are also worthy of being my senior brother's concubine, and I will serve my senior brother well, maybe you will have a chance to reward you." After Jin Long finished speaking, Huang Ruyu's face was flushed red, and she wished she could fight Jin Long and let her take back the humiliation just now. She has always been the arrogant girl in Giwan Pavilion, and is sought after everywhere. Why? Been devalued to such an extent? For a time, she doubted whether her choice was right or wrong. Master Huang Ruyu's voice couldn't help but contain grievances. Kui Xian's eyes were cold. She also wanted to kill Jin Qiu, but she couldn't do it without a trace. She said, "One day you will make the stinky girl look good. When you go to Lingzhou, your alchemy talent will be revealed. Someone will definitely take a fancy to it. What you have to do recently is to improve your alchemy skills. As long as the alchemy skills overwhelm that girl, see what she can show off." Kui Xian had murderous intentions towards Jin Long in his heart. A junior dared to be arrogant and rude to her senior, and when she was tired of living, she kept it for Jin Long. Huang Ruyu's eyes darkened. She nodded and replied, "Yes, master." She approached Gao Tian, and in addition to her thoughts, she also wanted Gao Tian to instruct her on alchemy, but so far the results were not good. Sometimes I can't help but wonder, if it wasn't for the conflict with Gu Yao and the unwise request for Dan Do, would she not? Will it fall to this point? Relying on the pavilion master's recommendation to go to Lingzhou is much more convenient than compromising with the master now. Just regret that there is no way out. Hearing the movement, Shen Xing closed his eyes and opened them, looking at Gao Tian who came in. "How is the situation?" Gao Tian took a deep breath. If it wasn't for the last resort, he wouldn't want to take this trip at all, and he even told the alchemist who defeated him that flattery, but the other party was not humble at all and took it all. He could only express his anger. "Repressed in the bottom of my heart, I didn't dare to spoil the important affairs of master and the building." According to the instructions of the master, the disciple told them about the Dan Immortal Remnant Mansion. The disciple could see that they were very interested in the number of Dan Immortal Remnant Mansion. The disciple believes that with more effort, they can be drawn into our place. "Come here." "But master, do you really want to bring them back to Lingzhou?" Shen Xing glanced at him lightly. "I know you're not happy when you lose in the hands of the opponent, but if the opponent really gets that thing and you can't win, doesn't it mean that the thing doesn't have that much value? As a hero, you are not without opportunity." Gao Tian felt a little more comfortable after hearing this, but he also had doubts. "Master, can you be sure that it is them?" Shen Xing shook his head. "No." Gao Tian felt aggrieved again. He could still convince himself if he lost to the alchemist who had that thing in his hand, but if the other party didn't have that thing in his hand, wouldn't that mean that the other party's talent in alchemy was really better than him? You must know that he is the alchemist of Lingzhou. He could already imagine the situation after returning to Lingzhou. The news in Fengming City could not be blocked at all. Maybe it will be sent back to Lingzhou now. The alchemist in the building and other competitors outside the building, after hearing the news they must gather together and laugh at him, laughing at his inability to lose in the hands of an unknown alchemist. So Gao Tian didn't want to recruit the other party into the Lingyun building at all, and he really let him in. Didn't he remind the alchemists in Lingzhou all the time that this was the alchemist who defeated him? Seeing that master closed his eyes again, Gao Tian could only retreat. When he came out, seeing Wu Yuan waiting outside, Wu Yuan's attitude towards Gao Tian remained the same, which made him somewhat more comfortable. "Don't worry about Dan Master Gao, in Wu Mao's place, your master Shen Dan Shi is the first, and to draw that Yao person over, Wu Mao is just to slap Zhang Jingfeng in the face, and the surname is Yao Dan. No matter how good your technique is, you can't catch up with your master and apprentice." Wu Yuan made a promise. Gao Tian glanced at him lightly, and he couldn't hear others saying that Yao's alchemy was the best. Isn't that just reminding him that he lost to Yao's? Wu Yuan didn't notice Gao Tian's thoughts either, and he was happy. Originally, he was very unhappy that Gao Tian lost to alchemist Yao. Zhang Jingfeng's auction was in full swing these 2 days. He also sent people to participate. Who would dislike the best dando? Of course it's good to get a hand. But with Gao Tian's mentor and apprentice, he doesn't think that Yao will still choose to stay on Zhang Jingfeng's side. So the more proud Zhang Jingfen is now, the more he will be hit in the future. Now, let's look at the Wei Dan masters who were dug up from Zhang Jingfen before. They really can't compare to Yao Dan master together. No one has the ability to refine high-quality pills. Asterisk Forest. As Wu Yuan said, the auction that Zhang Jingfen held this time was very successful. Not only did the need for pills sell at a price they were very satisfied with, but the need for pills also led to the auction of other items. Many participants came to contact Zhang Jingfen about their feelings, and wanted to use his hand to get in touch with alchemist Yao. Please ask alchemy Yao. Zhang Jingfen did not promise anything when he opened the furnace to make alchemy, and others could understand, how could such an alchemist be ordered by Zhang Jingfen? In addition, the cultivators who came over also expressed secretly that if alchemist Yao continued to stay with Zhang Jingfen, they would open the door to Zhang Jingfen and help him in the future. Of course, they would not offend Shen Xin too much. Master and apprentice, by Jing Lingzhou alchemist still has to give face, but it also depends on how to give it. After all, this pair of master and apprentice cannot stay in Fengzhou forever, and Lingyun Tower is not so easy to catch up with. Neither side said anything to death, and Zhang Jingfen was also satisfied with the result, which he expected. People who do business know that interests are the bond that maintains their relationship, and whether they will keep their promises depends on the person. Zhang Jingfen had just sent off a group of guests, and someone came in to report, Alchemist Yao has just met with Alchemist Gao Tian. As for what they talked about, I don't know, but Alchemist Gao Tian looked quite content when he left. Zhang Jingfen smiled, I know about it, there is no need to send someone to watch over Yao Danji. Yes, young master, this time we were the ones who were staring at Wu Yuan and discovered their meeting. Zhang Jingfen nodded, and was satisfied. He didn't want Gu Yao and the others to think that they were worried about them, and he had to send someone to watch them all the time. For those who have the ability, cooperation is premised on trust. Waiting for the others to leave, Wei Wei asked worriedly, Master, Yao Danji really won't be pulled over by Gao Tian? Zhang Jingfeng thought about it and said, even if Alchemist Yao and the others are moved, I don't think they will trust Gao Tian and his master. What we need to do now is to help Alchemist Yao and the others enter Lingzhou. Opening the situation in Lingzhou, as for Yao Danji's safety, maybe we don't need to worry about it. Wei Wei can understand Zhang Xiao's desperate determination, because under the current circumstances, they can't find any other way out except this one. By the way, have I asked people to collect all the information? Wei Wei took out a stack of documents, send it to me, but why does Alchemist Yao want to collect information on the blood slaughter monk? He was surprised, according to the news from Dongzhou, didn't Gu Yao spend a lot of time with the blood slaughter monk? How could he remember to check his situation? Is it not all the way? Zhang Jingfeng smiled when he saw the information. The main thing they want to know is the past of the blood slaughter monk. If I hadn't read the relevant information, I wouldn't know about the past, except for those years of practice in the spiritual world. After a long time, how many new monks do you know? The one who talked about his notoriety for killing. Zhang Jingfeng took time out and ran again in person, sending the collected materials to Gu Yao, and the spirit stones from the auction. Gu Yao did not let him be busy, and kept them as agreed a certain percentage of the share. Gu Yao did not hide his meeting with Gao Tian. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Transmigration, First Class Immortal Husband. Author, North Wind Blows. Chapter 456. Zhang Jingfeng finished digesting what Gu Yao said. So, Alchemist Yao wants us to inquire about the situation of the Lingzhou alchemy competition. What he is more pleased with is the other meaning represented by these words. Gu Yao not only did not conceal the meeting with Gao Tian, but also told him the content of the conversation bluntly, which means that Gu Yao has not been Gao Tim's promise pulled over. Thinking about it carefully, Ling Yunlu is really willing to give up such a place and the gain of entering the Pill Immortal Palace to an outsider? If Zhang Jingfeng was replaced by himself, he would be reluctant to do so if he had to. The three of Guyao are sober and sensible enough to change to another alchemist who may be moved by such benefits and want to take a risk. But at present, it seems that Guyao and the others are looking for another way. But don't worry, alchemist Gao Tian said that there are still 12 years until the next alchemy competition, as long as you find out enough detailed information before that. Okay, Zhang Jingfeng agreed without hesitation at all. I will try to inquire as much as possible about the situation. I have heard about the various alchemy competitions in Lingzhou before, but I didn't expect it to be so important. Interests. As for the Dangxian Relics Mansion, all parties in Lingzhou have not disclosed it to the outside world. Sure enough, outside forces still cannot penetrate into the interior of Lingzhou. After Zhang Jingfeng left, Guyao and Qi Changjai looked at the information about the blood slaughter monk. The name of the master is illusory, but not many people in the spiritual world know this. Instead, the name of the blood slaughter monk has been around for a long time. Master Lugzu was originally a disciple of the Buddhist sect, and he showed his talent in Buddhist cultivation early, and was highly valued and cultivated by the high-level Buddhist sect. But such a seemingly innocuous and proud disciple of the Buddhist sect would have committed lust, and fell into the devil's way for the sake of a male cultivator. Guyao and Qi Changjai looked at each other in dismay. Guilty of lust? Isn't that what Senior Su Chen is talking about? After seeing Master Su's original position in the Buddhist sect, the two were very suspicious. If Senior Su Chen appeared now, the first to kill would not be those alchemists in Lingzhou, but the Buddhist cultivators of the Buddhist sect, not him. Did Master Su break the precepts and fall into the devil's way? Guyao suddenly said, Senior has such great charm. Cough, how can you juniors understand the charm of the senior? What are you looking at? Don't think that I will not find it if I hide it, take it out. Su Chen walked in from the outside and didn't deliberately overhear what they said, but looking at their actions and the last words they heard, he knew they were doing little things behind their backs, contacting Zhang Jingfeng who had just left. Su Chen's eyes he looked at the two coolly. Guyao wiped his sweat. Originally, they told Zhang Jingfeng about this matter behind Su Chen's back. If Su Chen knew about it, they would immediately know what they really wanted to investigate. How could Su Chen not know that his attention was diverted from the alchemy technique, and Guyao's curiosity was no less than his? Senior. Guyao still wanted to hide. With a smile in Qi Changjai's eyes, he held down Guyao's hand and said to Su Chen who came in, it's not that we can't tell, it's just that the senior didn't tell us, so we had to find out on our own. We happen to know that the master committed and quit. For the sake of a beautiful woman who betrayed the depraved way of Buddhism, she even started killing people. Su Chen was stunned for a moment, then he coughed violently while covering his heart, and his face was flushed red, whether it was coughing or embarrassment. Guyao snickered secretly, but in the sense of respecting the teacher and valuing the Tao, he kindly went over to help Su Chen to sit down, and Su Chen was angry and brushed off the hand of this Guyao. In the mouths of these two bastards, what has Su Chen become? Is it a disaster? So angry. Su Chen rubbed his heart and scolded, you two bastards, you are laughing at the alchemy master behind your back, aren't you? Why did the bald donkey put it on the head of the alchemist? 1 or 2, right? Too busy to grow grass. Guyao and Qi Changjai looked at each other, both of them suppressed the smiles in their eyes, and then lowered their heads and listened to the lectures honestly, so that Su Chen could scold at him happily. Fortunately, outsiders didn't hear Su Chen's angry scolding, otherwise, someone might have rushed in to help. After all, Yao Danji's status is very different now. Su Chen scolded his mouth dry, poured a cup of tea and poured it down, and rubbed his heart again, as if he was a little relieved. Guyao couldn't help laughing and came over, Senior, just talk about it, What was the relationship between the predecessor and the master? Actually, Brother Ye and I don't believe the content above, Senior Gao Fengliangja, is that kind of person. It must be a spiritual, those alchemists in the state and the rumors spread by the Buddhist section. Guyao's expression was as serious as a swearing oath. But Su Chen also knew the details of these two guys. In the final analysis, they were still full of curiosity. It seemed that they could not be calmed down until they knew the truth. Cough, my shoulders are a little sore. I'll pinch. Guyao ran over. My mouth is dry. I'll pour the tea. Chi Changjai respectfully poured the tea and brought it to Su Chen. After tossing the two around, Su Chen felt relieved. Guyao and Chi Changjai dragged chairs to sit beside Su Chen, waiting for Su Chen to speak. Cough, Su Chen said softly, and this was the beginning. Speaking of those days. What was it that year? From Su Chen's remarks, Guyao and Chi Changjai saw the truth through their appearances, that is, the alchemist Su Chen, who went out to practice, found a very beautiful little monk, so they flirted, and went back and forth. These two people actually became companions to travel around in the spiritual world together, one with excellent alchemy skills and the other with strong combat power, became the best partner. Seeing Su Chen looking nostalgic, Guyao and Chi Changjai had no doubts at all. Those days should be the best time for the two of them. Both of them had outstanding cultivation talents. Envy and jealousy of peers. Afterwards, Su Chen's expression was covered with a layer of gray. On the way to travel, we received communications from our respective forces, so we separated. I went back to my Lingzhou Pill Pavilion, he went back to the Buddhist sect. I didn't expect to go there. A road leading to nowhere. At that time, I went back to Lingzhou to participate in the alchemy competition. Yes, it is the alchemy competition, you know. Although the alchemists in Lingzhou, including my classmates, disliked me, my alchemy skills, even if their talents are higher than theirs, they have to kneel if they are not convinced when it comes to alchemy. Su Chen is extremely confident. I am a different kind in their eyes, and an alchemist like me who is wandering outside is very popular in Lingzhou. Few, but no matter how long they spend on alchemy, their cultivation and alchemy are not as fast as me. Guyao and Chi Changjai smiled knowingly. It was conceivable that Su Chen's temperament, coupled with his maverick, would definitely make a difference for him. Invoked a lot of hatred. Senior must have won. He entered the Pill Immortal Palace. Su Chen said as a matter of course, then what else is there to say? I got the Pill Pavilion in the Pill Immortal Relic Mansion, so you are so lucky, you can get it so easily without me bringing out the Pill Pavilion? There was Pill Pavilion at that time. The Dan Immortal Relics Palace is truly a fairyland existence for the alchemists who enter. Through the layers of tests, the alchemists can obtain benefits that are unimaginable for outsiders, such as the inheritance of precious alchemy techniques, rare alchemy recipes. There is also the baptism of Danyu, which can make the alchemist reborn, not to mention the countless rare spirit herbs, and the alchemy masters in Lingzhou are born in large numbers, but it's not just this kind of thing. Needless to say, these good things all come from the Dan Pavilion. The so-called Danyu baptism should be the spiritual mist bathing that Guyao and Chi Changjai saw when Su Chen remodeled their bodies. I believe it will never be worse than the spiritual empowerment in the mountain peak space in the secret realm of the Absolute Pond. Guyao guessed, Senior passed the test after entering the Yufu, and was recognized by the Pill Pavilion? The movement must be very big, and the Pill Pavilion is even more impressive. Su Chen shook his head and said, the movement is not big. You will know what kind of place it is when you have the opportunity to go to the Pill Immortal Relics Palace in the future. The place where the alchemist who was tested is actually not the Pill Pavilion, but the Pill Pavilion outside. Projection, my taking away the Dan Pavilion actually has little impact on the Yufu. At best, the Danyu has turned into a spiritual rain, and the effect will be reduced. I was just betrayed by the same sect *, haha, Dan Pavilion for so many years, no one has passed the final test to get the approval of the pill pavilion. They don't think about their own reasons, they just want to plunder from me. In a few days, I will become the leader of the various pills in Lingzhou. Competing for the object, because, they planted nails in each other's forces, and the news leaked out before Dan Pavilion did anything to me. At that time, even if I was willing to hand over the Dan Pavilion, no one could tolerate it. I survived. Think about it, I originally made them jealous, plus I got the Dan Pavilion inheritance, the hatred for me has increased tenfold, but I'm not as good as them, the more they hate me, the more I want to escape, and one day I will be able to kill Ling Zhou again with Dan Pavilion. Unfortunately, his ambition and dream did not come true, and the little monk was involved later, making him a traitor to the Buddhist sect, a demon who murdered without blinking an eye. Su Chen hated it, and was unwilling to continue to drag the little monk, nor I was willing to return the pill pavilion to the hands of those enemies, so I blew myself up with the pill pavilion. Even if they die, they won't let those sanctimonious guys succeed. Su Chen's brows flashed with anger, then reached out to pat Gu Yao's shoulder, and said earnestly, "Now the pill pavilion is on you, whether you are my nephew or apprentice, you should shoulder my unfulfilled dream. And the task, you must take the pill pavilion back to Lingzhou, and let those guys all kneel down and beg for mercy, do you know?" After he finished speaking, he took a few more shots, which meant that he had to bear the burden. Gu Yao twitched the corners of his mouth. I think it makes more sense for the senior to do it himself. He was also curious about how Master Su became a blood-slaughtering demon monk. The most important link, the senior didn't go on, but this time he didn't hold on to it. Maybe there were some things that the senior didn't want to think about. Transmigration, First Class Immortal Husband. Author, North Wind Blows. Chapter 457. Su Chen left a sentence and patted his and left. He said, "I think it makes more sense for you to do it." Gu Yao couldn't complain anymore. He felt that the senior was just being lazy. To complete this task, he worked hard, which was clearly not in line with the senior's temperament. But at the moment, it is still important to improve his own cultivation. Without that strength, there is no way to realize his wish for the senior. So the two of them practiced, and then practiced swordsmanship, and alchemy. Gu Yao would regularly send a batch of medicinal pills to Zhang Jingfeng. The quality of medicinal pills would only be higher or lower than before, and occasionally mixed with the third-grade medicinal herbs. With the supply of this batch of medicinal herbs, Zhang Jingfeng's momentum did not drop due to the end of the auction, but rose steadily. Before, many people were waiting for Wu Yuan's actions. They didn't think that Wu Yuan would leave alchemist Yao unattended. In their opinion, sooner or later, Wu Yuan would be dug up, and Zhang Jingfeng would be beaten back to his original shape, but every day passed. But saw that alchemist Yao was still stably staying in the guest house arranged by Zhang Jingfeng, as if he was going to refine his alchemy to old age there. Except for Wu Yuan, the other young masters of Dingxian Pavilion did not fail to try their best to win over Gu Yao. They used all kinds of enticements and even threats, and then there was no response. When they found out that Dingxian Pavilion's main pavilion also sent people to Zhang Jingfeng send a message here, hoping that Zhang Jingfeng will leave a batch of top-grade pills for the general pavilion, they can no longer sit still. Who would have thought that a fourth-grade alchemist could bring Zhang Jingfeng back to life? Before that, only a third-grade alchemist from Lingzhou would let the general pavilion take a high-level look and be inclined towards Wu Yuan. There are many people in the general pavilion who have good words for Wu Yuan. Now, a fourth-grade alchemist of Yao alchemy can actually play the same role. If you wait any longer, the daylily will be cold. Under such a situation, Wu Yuan and Gao Tian, who had not heard back for a long time, finally understood that they were likely to be swayed by Gu Yao, a fourth-grade alchemist. After considering it, there was no accurate response. It turned out that they didn't take their win at all. Wu Yuan's feminine face turned into a pure hunter, and he turned over a chair in annoyance. Okay. Very good. I have never met anyone who dared to play this way. I really consider myself from Lingzhou. The alchemist has come. There are many alchemists in the world, and there is never a shortage of talented alchemists, and there are not a few who are limited due to various accidents in the middle. I want to see what will happen to him. Gao Tian walked in from the outside. Master Wu's house is safe and don't be impatient. Master has discussed with me. Master has decided to accept 3 orders per month. The specific 3 orders will be arranged by Master Wu. Master can trust Master Wu. As for Mr. Gao, for me, just 10 orders a month, but it's just something I don't know how to praise. I really treat myself as a gadget, and the master is going to come forward and teach him a lesson. He is too tender. Gao Tian's displeasure was only worse than Wu Yuan's, because he personally came forward for this matter, and went against his original intention to persuade the other party to talk about such important matters as Dan Immortal's relics, but no one else joined at all. Otherwise, there will be no movement until now, and he has been providing medicinal herbs for Zhang Jingfeng. For Gao Tian's master and apprentice, they can ignore Guyao, a dark horse that suddenly appeared, but they cannot allow others to treat them with the same attitude. Wu Yuan rolled his eyes and said with a smile, okay. With Dan Master Gao and your master helping this young master, why can't you make a big deal? Don't worry, Dan Master Gao, Wu will send someone to let out the wind. Haha, you must know that this phoenix usually Ming Cheng and the entire Fengzhou, there are not many monks who want to ask your master Shen Dan for pills. They will be very interested when they hear this news. Wu Yuan's mood changed from gloomy to sunny in an instant. He didn't expect to be forced by Yao and Zhang Jingfeng, and there was such a good thing. Although Shen Xing apparently joined his camp, Wu Yuan wanted to invite Shen. It is very difficult for Xing to refine a pot of third-rank pills. Wu Yuan would have long been angry if he changed others, but it was not enough to face Shen Xing, because Shen Xing's signboard was enough for him to use. Well now, they actually offered to concoct pills. Isn't it a pleasure? Wu Yuan arranged the 3 monthly orders as soon as he thought about it. You can get the most out of what you have in your hands. Then there will be Mr. Wu's family, and Gao will retire first. Gao Tian is not as happy as Wu Yuan. Being forced by others has a different meaning than his own initiative. Not to mention his master, even he himself feels that use this method to drop the price. It has always been others who begged them to make alchemy. When did you become the active party? Wu Yuan's actions were of course agile, and soon the word spread in Fengming City, and those large, medium, and small forces were the first to get the news, which made all the forces that were originally staring at Guyao quickly turn their attention to Wu Yuan and his back. Shen Xing. Although Guyao is a little better than Gao Tian, but no matter how good he is, he can't compare to Gao Tian's master. He is a genuine third-grade alchemist. Even Gao Tian has received a little more attention because of this. Through him, he can get closer to him. His master. All kinds of invitations and orders flew to Wu Yuan's mansion like snowflakes, and all kinds of good spiritual materials prepared by various forces, hoping to vote for Gao Tian's master and apprentice, which caused a lot of discussion in Fengming City. Although alchemist Yao was in the limelight a while ago, but Lingzhou alchemist Bai Jing was an alchemist in Lingzhou, and the limelight turned around as long as he let out a word. Many people regretfully said, Yao alchemist still has a weak foundation and looks talented, but who would have known that only the year of the monkey can be promoted to the third-rank alchemist? How many people are stuck at this level and can't break through for a lifetime? Not only that, there is Lingyuan building behind alchemist Shen. There is a rank 1 alchemist in Lingyuan building. If you take the path of Lingyuan building first, it will be much more convenient to find a rank -1 alchemist in the future, but alchemy Yao has a lot of experience. There are no such benefits, and no one is stupid. The people under Zhang Jingfeng couldn't hold their breath, because they found out that the General Pavilion had also sent someone to contact Wu Yuan. It's not that I want to directly intercept the monthly order from Wu Yuan, it is best to ensure that one order per month is for the General Pavilion. If Wu Yuan agreed, of course he would not give up this list in vain. What kind of benefits would be promised by the General Pavilion? As long as he thought about it, Zhang Jingfeng's subordinates would not be able to sit still. Zhang Xiao, what should we do? It's very unfavorable for us to continue like this, and the situation that has just opened is likely to be retracted again. Isn't the result of Zhang Jingfeng not panicking and not panicking? They wanted to teach alchemist Yao and Zhang a lesson because they couldn't dig a corner. Do you want me to surrender alchemy, Yao? Will Wu Yuan let us go? As soon as these words came out, some old people blushed. Although they had a little thought, Zhang Xiao spread all this in front of them, and they couldn't tolerate them backing down at all, because the other party did not give them a way out. Zhang Jingfeng blushed with embarrassment when he saw a few swaying subordinates. He didn't continue, and said calmly, "It's not the last moment, it's too early to say these words. In fact, you shouldn't think about it. If the third-rank alchemist from Lingzhou is forced to this level, doesn't it just show how powerful Yao alchemist is? If Yao alchemist can keep his composure, we have hope." Yes, Zhang Xiao is right, no matter what, we must stabilize Yao Danqi. Although all parties paid more attention to Wu Yuan's master and apprentice Shen Xing, Zhang Jingfeng did not seem to be affected, and still released a batch of 4th-grade medicinal pills on time, including some top-grade medicinal pills, which were still in short supply. How many pills are released will be robbed in a very short time. Young Master Zhang, Wei Wei reported the inquiries. According to the information from Wu Yuan and the General Pavilion, Wu Yuan is likely to give up one of the 3 monthly orders to the General Pavilion. Thinking of the General Pavilion, the person who had a good look at Zhang Xiao before turned around and ran to Wu Yuan's side. "Wei Wei," she said, "the General Pavilion is full of grass on the wall, and there is no benefit, no eagle." Zhang Jingfeng laughed. "Isn't that the way business people are? When Wu Yuan released such rumors, I expected the attitude of the General Pavilion. Fortunately, we are not completely without confidence, otherwise we would really be passive." At this moment, Wei Wei remembered the 3rd-grade pill sent by Gu Yao, and his mood improved. Yes, Gu Yao is actually a 3rd-grade pill master. They haven't released it yet, and they must use it at the most critical time. What they didn't know was that not only Gu Yao was a 3rd-grade alchemist, but Su Chen beside him was a senior 3rd-grade alchemist, but he was hidden too deep, and no one regarded him as a threat. Holding a cup of tea, Gu Yao smiled and said, "Our guest house has been deserted a lot recently." Su Chen threw a dried fruit at him and smashed him on the forehead. "I didn't see any disappointment in you, don't make trouble." Gu Yao laughed. In fact, no matter how turbulent it is outside, it really won't affect him here. Gu Yao shouted, "Senior, you really don't plan to shoot? When Senior makes a shot, one will top 2, no, one will top 10." Su Chen threw another dried fruit angrily, but it didn't hit Gu Yao's forehead. Was cut off by the other hand, and Su Chen rolled his eyes. These two little joined forces to bully him, an old man. After all these years, isn't it an old man? Gu Yao said that it would not be affected, then it would not be affected. After alchemy, he would go out and hang out. The 3 of them were eating and drinking in the restaurant. Zhang Jingfeng's men looked calmer and kept staring at their Wu Yuan. The people on the side don't know what to say to them. "What's in the mind of this guy named Yao?" Wu Yuan called a confidant over and asked, "or did he deliberately show it to us? Are there still alchemists who don't want to go to Lingzhou these days?" It was obvious that there was a shortcut in front of them, but some people didn't choose. Wu Yuan felt that Yao's brain was broken. Transmigration, First-Class Immortal Husband. Author, North Wind Blows. Chapter 458. Gu Yao, who Wu Yuan thought was broken, was sitting in the restaurant with Qi Changjai and Su Chen. Although Zhang Jingfen knew that they liked to eat and drink, there was never a shortage of good wine and good food, and there was a specially invited spirit in the courtyard. The chef prepares it, but there is a good atmosphere in the restaurant where you can eat at home. The various discussions about Wu Yuan and Zhang Jingfen, as well as Master Shen Xing and Alchemist Yao, were used by the three of them as snacks. SHH, talk in a low voice, Master Yao Dan is upstairs. Really or not? But it was said outside that Danqi Yao refused the invitation from Wu Xiaodong's house, nor did he accept the invitation from Lingyuan building in Lingzhou. When I heard about it, I admired Danqi Yao, just because I dared to refuse like this. There are too few alchemists. Thinking about the previous alchemist Wei, how much resources Zhang Xiaodong's family invested in him, but this man patted his and left, and took away several alchemists, although people went to high places, but this person is too stupid. No, I don't know how long Danqi Yao will be able to hold on. Hearing that Alchemist Yao was upstairs, the discussion in the lobby calmed down a little. Gu Yao smiled slightly. When he heard someone shouting outside the window and downstairs, he looked at him, he couldn't help laughing, and he also waved his hand down. Downstairs, the five short-statured Kixing was jumping and waving to the window on their side. Seeing Gu Yao looking over, he was even more happy. Then he turned his head and said something to his companions, and went into the restaurant excitedly. Because the three of Gu Yao didn't hide their identities this time, Qi Xingxing immediately ran out to find him when he heard others say which restaurant Yao Danqi was eating and drinking. Qi Xingxing, who ran upstairs and knocked on the box door, blushed. I know that Yao Danqi is here, so I came here. Gu Yao couldn't help laughing. This young patriarch is really a very simple person. Oh no, demon, everything is straight, and the same is true when grabbing a robe from a female cultivator. Talking to him can make people feel a lot more relaxed. The young patriarch is sitting here. The young patriarch came to see us. We are all very happy. Qi Changjai nodded slightly, expressing his agreement with what Gu Yao said. Su Chen prefers to tease the young patriarch, but the appearance of the penguins does not fit his aesthetic. After seeing him, he will always take Gu Yao and Qi Changjai to wash. Really, Qi Xingxing is even more excited now. In fact, he doesn't make many friends outside with his temperament, but Yao Danqi is different from others. Kaiming Xing can feel that the three Yao Danqi are not looking down on him or taking advantage of him. Thought, Yao Danqi, you don't know, this time, I was praised by the clan elders for sending the medicinal pills Yao Danqi made to the clan. Before, they would only criticize me, saying that I would only cause trouble outside. Qi Xingxing said a lot, saying that the medicinal pill he sent back was not only praised by the patriarch, but also sought after by the clan. It is the young patriarch, but he has never been so popular in the clan, so the entire penguin is almost floating with excitement. He felt that he could fly without cultivation. Whoever said that penguins were flightless birds, he would fly one to show other birds. This time, Qi Xingxing brought some spirit grasses, and Gu Yao took a look. It was of much higher quality than the last time, and there were a lot of materials for refining third-grade medicine pills. Through Qi Xingxing's narration, Gu Yao and the others came to understand that they had also found a lot of alchemists before, but they were often deceived and deceived their spirit herbs, but the medicinal herbs they gave were very poor, and they were sold outside. There are not many ice attribute elixir, and ice spirituality. The cultivators competed with them, but they often couldn't. In their eyes, Alchemist Yao, whom they found this time, is a good person. With the same spirit grass, the medicinal pills sent back are far from comparable to before. Qi Xingxing looked left and right, and whispered in a low voice that the outside world said that Yao Alchemist is not as good as Shen Alchemist from Lingzhou. Yao Alchemist, don't take it seriously, in the hearts of our penguins, Yao Alchemist is much better than the Alchemist from Lingzhou. Really, I didn't lie to you at all. Before, Our clan and the White Bear clan were deceived by the alchemist of Lingzhou. The clan chief said that they were all bastards. Qi Xing waved his fist angrily at the end. Su Chen laughed when he heard it. This young patriarch dared to say anything. As for what he said, Su Chen thought there must be, maybe the eyes of those first and second rank alchemists in Lingzhou here. The White Bear clan and the Penguin clan should hold the rare spiritual materials, or they think they are very stupid. Just fool them with a few pills and they will be done, but I don't know that they all remember it in their hearts. When Zhang Jingfeng heard Gu Yaoxian mention the actions of Qi Xing and the penguins, he had a flash of inspiration. He thought of a new way to make money, and he could expand the business of the shop under his name. Although he bet on Gu Yao, it is not that he has stopped working hard. The relationship established now is not very strong, and it will be interrupted at any time, so he needs to find new customers and business targets. Gu Yao and Qi, the contacts of the stars, gave him hope. Zhang Jingfeng said his thoughts to Gu Yao and left excitedly, and he and his subordinates would be busy again. Zhang Jingfeng's idea is actually quite simple. There are many demon cultivators living in this spiritual world, such as the Penguin White Bear and even the Bai Bingqi clan before, not to mention cultivating with others, but with other demon cultivators. There are very few contacts. But are the resources in their clan scarce? No. Don't they need cultivation resources? Also not. Some races, such as the penguin and the white bear, are very xenophobic because they have suffered losses in the hands of human cultivation and no longer believe in the power of human cultivation. However, if you interact with them in good faith, you may not be able to get their approval. Is a good example. The most important thing is that these races may not be able to sell Ling's Hu's face. There are some things Zhang Jingfen knows more than Gu Yao, and it is detailed. Therefore, these potential partners will not be shaken in Ling's Hu's face. This busyness made Zhang Jingfen and his subordinates spanking, and Gu Yao also stayed in the living room to concoct alchemy. Wu Yuan and Shen Xin became more and more powerful. The first 3 months the list that Su went out brought huge benefits to Wu Yuan. In their spare time, the proud Wu Yuan and Gao Tian went to pay attention to Zhang Jingfeng and Gu Yao. As a result, the attention made the two of them furious. It was like they tried their best to punch, but they ended up in the cotton ball. Did not get much response from the other party. What is the surname Zhang doing? I don't believe he doesn't envy my achievements. Wu Yuan gritted his teeth. It's not that the people below didn't stare at Zhang Jingfeng's side, but before, he felt that Zhang Jingfeng's actions had no effect at all, and even in his eyes, they had reached a dead end, and they couldn't compare with Wu Yuan at all. His subordinates gave him a list, listing the objects that Zhang Jingfeng and his subordinates had been in contact with recently. All of them were in semi-enclosed or fully closed racial forces, and after running around for a long time, they failed to knock on the doors of several houses. There are not many cooperation agreements, the most prominent of which are the penguins and white bears. In the restaurant under the name of Zhang Jingfeng, the ice spirit fruit from the Kehi clan has already been served. This spirit fruit is not only loved by the ice spirit root cultivator, but also by the general public, because the ice spirit fruit is sober. The effect of brain, the effect is in the forefront of similar products. In the past, when I saw Qi Xing and other penguin clansmen eating the ice spirit fruit as a snack, they wanted to take it out of their mouths. The penguin tribe is willing to cooperate with Zhang Jingfeng, and more depends on Gu Yao's face, but Zhang Jingfeng believes that long-term cooperation depends on Zhang Jingfeng's sincerity. Because the effect is not significant so far, Wu Yuan also sneered after seeing this list. Although it didn't attract Zhang Jingfeng's attention to him and made him unhappy, he saw that Zhang Jingfeng had nowhere to go. Made him very happy. Go to the general pavilion and give a good publicity to the surnamed Zhang. I will see what he will fight with me. Yes, young Master Wu. His subordinates also felt that these matters were not worth paying attention to. The connections and profits from one of Shen Xing's orders were 10 times or even dozens of times more than what Zhang Jingfeng had done so far, so where to look? Get the petty profits from Zhang Jingfeng. Wu Yuan was happy, but Gao Tian was not too happy. A group of so-called flat-haired animals, Gao Tian snorted coldly. Huang Ruyu looked at his expression and asked tentatively, "Senior brother Gao, do you mind that much?" Gao Tian didn't hide her. "You don't know, when my master and sister and I came to Fengzhou, we actually had contact with the Penguin clan, hoping to get the 1,000-year-old ice spirit fruit and ice spirit fish from their clan. The food in Jingfeng restaurant is only a few hundred years old, and the effect is not significant, but if you have time, try it. You can experience the benefits of this thing for alchemy masters, and the same is true for equipment masters." Su Chu made a few pots of medicinal pills for them, but they didn't even think about the master, so they refused. It would be fine if everyone refused, but I didn't expect to turn their heads and fight with Alchemy Yao and Zhang Jingfeng. Does this mean that their masters and apprentices are inferior to Alchemy Yao and Zhang Jingfeng in the eyes of the penguins? You must know that they represent Lingzhou Lingyuan building. How can Gao Tian swallow this breath? Huang Ruyu went to the restaurant under the name of Zhang Jingfeng that same day and asked for a piece of ice spirit fruit. Understand the benefits of this thing, and Gao Tian attaches great importance to it. This is still the case for 100 years old, let alone 1,000 years old, that is a rare treasure of heaven and earth. Why is the surname Yao so lucky? I heard that the young patriarch of the Penguin clan gave him a bunch of them. Before Huang Ruyu was shaken, but seeing the scenery of Shen Xing's apprentice and Wu Yuan during this time, her shaking disappeared immediately, and she was blinded by these superficial prosperity. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Transmigration, First Class Immortal Husband. Author, North Wind Blows. Chapter 459. What annoys Gao Tian's master and apprentice the most is that they are ready to go, but others don't answer. Gao Tian feels that his promise to take 10 orders a month seems like a big joke now. He and his master promised to take orders. In his opinion, it is a humiliation and responsibility. They have done this, but others have not followed them idea to go. This state is also not suitable for alchemy. After Gao Tian sent Huang Ruyu away, he went to the master. Jin Long was also there, carefully waiting for her master. When he saw Gao Tian who came in, his eyes were not eyes or noses, but he actually let that woman enter his brother's pill room, not to mention that he didn't see the woman scheming. "Master, what should we do?" The reality was that they were led away by their brother-in-law. Jin Long snorted coldly and said, "If you want me to tell you, you shouldn't be fooled by them. They are worthy of the master to play with them on the radio station. Senior brother really can't see them, so find someone to solve them. It's over." Gao Tian frowned. "The people we need to use are not so capable. They can break into the other party's guest house and get rid of them in the hands of the fit monks, and if something goes wrong, the city owner of Fengming City may not be able to show respect to master. If it's the landlord who is here to pay it back, with their master and apprentice, the city lord in Fengming City really doesn't have such a big face here." Shen Xing didn't seem to be too affected, watching his two apprentices arguing endlessly, said aloud, "Okay, for the master, you have your own opinion, you have focused on alchemy during this time, and 2 years later, the alchemy skills are small. It's better to strive for good results. As for those orders and what orders to take, the initiative is in your hands, and you should choose as many orders as possible that will allow you to practice your skills." Seeing what Jin Long had to say, Shen Xing reprimanded, "Have you been out for so long, haven't you noticed that you are more slack than your senior brother in alchemy? Don't keep your eyes on Master Huang Dan all day long, if you end up being better than her. However, that would only embarrass me, master." Jin Long was trained by the master, How dare he refute it again, hiding the hatred in his eyes and whispering, "Yes, master, the disciple knows, the disciple will do his best." "Well, let's go out." When the two apprentices left, Shen Xing's calm eyes flashed, and then he took out a messenger that could cross the state, and said a few words to the other end of the messenger. "How sure are you this time?" a voice came from the other end. 50%, Shen Xing said decisively. "It is precisely because this alchemist refused Gao Tian's wooing and Ling Yunlu's invitation, which made me more suspicious of him. I don't believe he has another way in Lingzhou." The other side pondered for a while and said, "Okay, I will send someone over for you. You need to be careful. Many people in Lingzhou are watching this." Shen Xing understands. After closing the subpoena, Shen Xing seriously thought about how to act, and tried to minimize the impact to avoid attracting the attention of people in Lingzhou. Immediately afterwards, a flash of enthusiasm flashed in Shen Xing's eyes. If he really found that thing, although he couldn't monopolize it, the reward in the building would definitely not be small, and he could go further and gain a better position in the building. Will also rise. So now the small troubles outside are not that important to him at all. The tossing of the two apprentices and Wu Yuan has instead given him more clues, making him even more suspicious. In the blink of an eye, a year has passed. During this year, Gu Yao has encountered many small troubles, but no major troubles have arisen. The light is still on Shen Xing's master and apprentice, so they are relatively quiet here. During this year, the three of them did not leave Fengming City, because all parties in Fengming City were afraid of the strength of the city lord and did not dare to make big moves under her nose. Gu Yao and the others also heard Zhang Jingfen mentioning the city lord. This is a female city lord, and she is also a demon cultivator. She has the blood of the Phoenix clan on her body, and her body is Phoenix flame. The monks and forces of the monarch, if the circumstances are serious, will be expelled from Fengming City by the city owner. Senior, now that Shen Xing's master and apprentice haven't made any big moves, could it be that they gave up? Gu Yao said this, but his intuition told him that it was far from the time to relax. Su Chen looked at Gu Yao and Qi Changjai with his legs crossed, and raised his chin at them. "Just say whatever you want." Qi Changjai said bluntly, "Isn't Lingzhou a small competition in 10 years, a big competition in 100 years, it will be a year before the next small competition, and it will take a lot of time on the way, but Shen Xing's two apprentices are not at this time." Immediately returning to Lingzhou, and staying in Fengzhou very calmly, it is impossible to convince people without conspiracy. "Then what do you mean?" Su Chen raised his eyebrows and asked. Qi Changjai frowned slightly. "I'm worried that they will call for help. Once a Mahayana master intervenes, we will immediately be at a disadvantage." Su Chen got up and clapped his hands and said, "Don't worry, it's just a Mahayana cultivator. It won't cost us our lives. Alchemist Ben has managed to rebuild his body, and he cherishes this life more than anyone else. Let's go, Zhang Xiaodong's family thinks it's necessary. Just wait." Gu Yao and Qi Changjai looked at each other, and it seemed that Su Chen was prepared. The two thought of the storage ring that the master gave to Su Chen, and they didn't know what else was in it besides the spiritual grass and the top-quality spiritual materials needed for body shaping. The two walked out with Su Chen. Zhang Jingfen led people to wait outside the guest house. After greeting, they set off together. This time they went to Dingxian Pavilion, where there will be a fierce competition. When they arrived at the main pavilion square, there were already many monks gathered here, and Gu Yao could recognize many familiar people at a glance, such as Wu Yuan, Wu Xiaodong's house, and a few others who had heard of it or had seen it once or twice. "Young master." The Chen Xiaodong family, who had formed a Taoist companion with Fairy Ni who was of peacock blood, was sitting next to Wu Yuan at the moment. Not knowing what to say to him, they both laughed and noticed the movement at the door. The two watched together come over. Chen Xiaodong's eyes were filled with schadenfreude. but Wu Yuan's eyes were filled with naked malice. Zhang Jingfeng and Gu Yao were not surprised, because they had received the news earlier and didn't know what Wu Yuan had promised. Chen Xiaodong's family gave up the competition and invested in Wu under the source. Zhang Jingfeng asked Wei Wei to take the others to find a seat, and he went to greet the elders of the general pavilion and the pavilion owner. Along the way, everyone's attitude towards them is not enthusiastic. Of course, their attitude towards Gu Yao is more complicated. After all, he can't compare to Shen Xing, and his alchemy is really outstanding. How can it be easy to defeat Gao Tian? The cultivators above the fusion stage can ignore Gu Yao, because Gu Yao can't make the third grade or higher medicinal pills they need, but how can the cultivators below the fusion stage ignore Gu Yao's existence or even the mockery of his appearance? Maybe he will beg for him at any time. After all, Shen Xing and his disciples will leave Fengzhou sooner or later. They can't go all the way to Lingzhou to beg for pills for the fourth grade pills. It's just that they are still puzzled. Why does Gu Yao, a fourth grade alchemist with a promising future, insist on staying in Zhang Jingfeng's body? What about the side? How does this benefit him? If he was recruited by Wu Yuan, there would be no need for them to be so entangled. Jingfeng, you are here. The pavilion owner saw Zhang Jingfeng with a smile. Are you ready this time? Zhang Jingfeng replied respectfully, it's ready, thank you pavilion master for your concern. An elder next to him snorted disapprovingly, what can he prepare? The pavilion master asked him for nothing. I want the elder to say, Zhang Jingfeng, you should stop as soon as possible, there is still room for maneuver, it is really going to be a mess. At this point, Zhang Jingfeng, you have no way out. Jingfeng, another elder said regretfully, do you really want to rely on alchemist Yao to compete for you? The elders in front were sarcastic again, no matter how capable alchemist Yao is, he is still a fourth grade alchemist. You really value him and can compete with a third grade alchemist. I am not speaking for Wu Yuan, you must know that we Dingxian Pavilion have always wanted to score. Inside Lingzhou, it has not been able to achieve his wish for many years, just circling around the periphery. Now the opportunity is in front of you, and it is not all the credit of Wu Yuan. Although this is a bit sharp, there are many elders who have such thoughts, and the elders who were optimistic about Zhang Jingfeng also feel a pity for him. Zhang Jingfeng still said neither humbly nor arrogantly, let the pavilion master and the elders worry about Jingfeng, but at this point, Jingfeng always wants to try, whether he can go on, how far he can go, and give up halfway. My regret is even greater. Humph. Stubborn. Zhang Jingfeng smiled and stepped back. Zhang Jingfeng returned to his team. Everyone saw the situation just now, and he didn't dare to say anything more to him at this time, because he was worried about making him unhappy. Zhang Jingfeng didn't care. After talking with Wei Wei for a while, he saw that Gu Yao and Qi Changjai looked different, and asked, is there any trouble? Just now, Gu Yao and Qi Changjai were playing around as if nothing had happened. They were actually trying to verify their guesses. Seeing this, they found a strange face beside Master Shen Xing and their disciples. Before they could look away, they closed their eyes and rested. The unfamiliar monk suddenly opened his eyes, and the two of them were beaten up. The owner of that gaze stared at them for a while, then closed his eyes and continued to rest. Gu Yao and Qi Changjai, who retracted their gazes, felt the pressure from the high-level monks. Su Chen's voice transmission also confirmed their thoughts, those guys in Lingzhou, as expected, they haven't changed their practices for so many years. They sent Mahayana cultivators to deal with the two void refining stages, and it's ridiculous to say it out. Gu Yao's question about Zhang Jingfeng came to an end, and he said, there is an unfamiliar cultivator behind alchemist Shen, and the Comer is not good. Zhang Jingfeng was startled, looked over to Shen Xing, and saw an unfamiliar face. This did not belong to Wu Yuan's team. As competitors, everyone knew exactly what staff they had, but this unfamiliar cultivator but have not seen. Seeing him sitting next to Shen Xing, could it be that the person brought by alchemist Shen hasn't shown up before? Transmigration, First Class Immortal Husband. Author, North Wind Blows. Chapter 460. Zhang Jingfeng was secretly alert in his heart, not to be negligent. He didn't forget that Gu Yao and Qi Changjai were also in trouble. There were still monks outside to track down the whereabouts of the two monks who appeared beside the blood slaughter monk, and the recent movements of Lingzhou were also suspicious. And other states have also appeared in Lingzhou alchemists. Just one or two people, but there have been more than 5 or 6 places over the years. If you look back carefully, you can find that it was the blood-slaughtering monk who appeared in Dongzhou. Zhang Jingfeng didn't know what was inside. What is the origin, but it is very likely that this is the reason why Gu Yao and Qi Changjai were not recruited by Lingzhou Linglian Tower. I don't know if his guess is accurate or not, and how many forces in Lingzhou are investigating. Thinking of these possibilities, Zhang Jingfeng felt that he was sweating coldly in his vest, and it was enough to offend Shen Xing's master and apprentice. If he offended several Lingzhou power, he really can't eat it and walk away. At this time, the general manager of the general cabinet came out to speak to everyone. Although this time is not the final choice, it will also eliminate a group of candidates, so the stakes are very important, and I hope all candidates will not take it lightly. So far, the results of the candidates have been taken into account by the General Cabinet. Please look at the ranking on the Jade Bib. It is the score given by the General Cabinet based on the performance of the candidates over the years. The General Manager played a spiritual tactic, a flash of aura flashed on the Jade Bib hanging high, and then a name and a score followed. The first place is undoubtedly Wu Yuan, and Chen Xiaodong's family is also ranked second, but this second place is meaningless, because he has already invested in Wu Yuan's camp, and the points he has won. The value can be directly linked to Wu Yuan. As for Zhang Jingfeng, it was ranked 6th. Seeing the cultivators in this ranking were talking a lot, you must know that when Wu Yuan didn't bring in the foreign aid of Shen apprentice and master apprentice, Zhang Jingfeng was in the lead. There was no doubt that he was number 1. He also has a solid foundation. In addition, Gu Yao, an alchemist, has regained some popularity for him, and Zhang Jingfeng has opened up new business avenues. This is why he did not fall to the last place in the eyes of all the enemies, but now the score is only 1/3 of Wu Yuan's, which is very appalling. The general manager looked at the mixed reactions of everyone and said, "This is only the first round, not the final score. Next, we will conduct the second round of assessment. After counting the scores, only the top 5 will be taken, and the next eliminated. Dingxian Pavilion is open for business, so the assessment has always been a literary test. The talent strength that comes out will be scored. Now for the first item, the assessment of the formation master. Second grandpa, I'll leave it to you," Zhang Jingfeng said to a middle-aged monk. The middle-aged monk nodded. Second grandpa will do his best, don't worry about Jingfeng. The array master is from Jiang's family, so Zhang Jingfeng doesn't have to worry about others using various means to win over and suppress him. Sometimes the blood relationship is indeed a relatively strong relationship. Zhang Huai is a third-rank array master, and he is also a relatively well-known array master in Fengming City. A good alchemist is rare, and equally good array masters cannot be recruited at will. Gu Yao glanced down at the bottom, and the array master who went up was cultivated. They are not weak. Most of them are in the integration period. He has a feeling when he sees it. When the integrated monks are so worthless, they are all over the street, which makes him very stressed. It is impossible to judge the level of the formation just by looking at the cultivation base, but Gu Yao saw that Zhang Huai and Zhang Jingfeng were very calm about this round. Others are too, presumably Jiang Hui's formation technique is not bad. The General Pavilion also sent a second-rank array master to judge. By making array plates and using array plates to conduct offensive and defensive battles, after half a day, The result came out. Zhang Huai and Wu Yuan's array masters were at a standstill. The division announced that they were tied for first place and gave the same points. During this period, Zhang Jingfeng introduced, the reason why the formation master on Wu Yuan's side has taken refuge in the past is for the sake of Shen Xing's alchemy master. I heard that Shen Xing specially made a pot of medicinal pills for him. The teacher is more loyal to Wu Yuan. Gu Yao nodded. Are you sure about the other two? Zhang Jingfeng smiled and said, although I don't have the confidence of the second grandfather, I won't lose too badly. Both Master Fu and Master Qi were recruited. After Dan Master Wei left, they were also shaken. Fortunately, Gu Yao appeared in time. Zhang Jingfeng revealed something to them and made them swear to keep it a secret, so these two. The other reason was that Wu Yuan did not value them as much as an alchemist, otherwise he would have taken action long ago. At this time, the ranking on the Jade Bib changed. Zhang Jingfeng, who was ranked 6th, immediately rose to the top and became 5th because of this game. Others were not surprised to see this ranking change, because they knew that the last round of the alchemist contest was the most critical and would have the highest score, because the alchemist had the heaviest weight, depending on Wu Yuan's side. Because with Shen Xing, all other shortcomings are made up, and it can be seen. Chen Xiaodong laughed sinisterly. The surnamed Zhang is still struggling, and he will look good in the last round. Wu Yuan sneered, who made him and the surnamed Yao not know the good and the bad? They will look good later. After the formation master is the talisman master, and there is a new round of competition on the stage. Gu Yao and the others can see the malicious and insidious eyes of Wu Yuan and say, what are they trying to do? Zhang Jingfeng said in a low voice, I have already received the news that Wu Yuan has lent all the third-grade alchemists in his hand, and he doesn't want to give me the slightest chance. Gu Yaodian said differently, so, I have to compete with Alchemist Wei and Alchemist Kui on the same stage. Yes, I believe in Yao Danqi. Gu Yao shrugged. What kind of relationship did he have with Huang Ruyu's master and apprentice? He had a relationship with Huang Ruyu decades ago, and decades later, he had an affair with Huang Ruyu's master. Fortunately, Kui Xian and the others were not sure of their identity, otherwise I'm afraid he will vomit blood from anger. Whether it takes a lot of time to refine or make talismans, so after these 2 rounds of competition, the time has come to the second day. Gu Yao's talent in these 3 items is not high, and he has no energy to study it. In terms of art, he felt that many things had not been thoroughly studied, and he had no energy to study other things, so Qi Changjai was a little interested in the comparison of talisman. What the talisman masters made was the space-splitting talisman they had used before. If it wasn't from a different camp, Qi Changjai would definitely consider asking the other party for a lesson, especially the sky-splitting talisman, which has always been what he wanted to learn. Before, when he and Gu Yao stayed on the island outside Kyushu, he watched the changes of the 5 elements and he had a vague understanding of the space storm, but he couldn't accurately grasp the feeling. He always felt that he was still a step behind the door. If someone gave some pointers, he might be able to make a space-splitting talisman. Even if this assessment is carried out for 10 days and 10 nights, the cultivators present will not feel too tired and will not be able to support it any longer. After all, the cultivators who come here are all cultivators above the level. In terms of Fuxi and Qixi, Shangjiang Jingfeng did not have an advantage, but it did not slip into a trough. Looking at the ranking on the Jade Bai, Zhang Jingfeng was still 5th, but was held tightly by the 6th place. When the general manager announced that the alchemy masters were better, the Sun Xiaodong family who was temporarily ranked 6th. Chao Zhang Jingfeng smiled smugly, he felt that he had won Ding Zhang Jingfeng. Please let the alchemists under the names of the candidates come to power, if they do not abstain. Wu Yuan moved first, and Shen Xing got up from his seat and walked to the stage, not only he, but also Alchemy Wei and Alchemy Kui behind him. The general manager didn't know the situation at first, but he vaguely guessed the situation. I don't know these two alchemists. Sun Xiaodong's family stood up and laughed smugly. General Manager, Master Wei is helping me compete. Here, Mr. Sun would like to thank Zhang Xiao for cultivating Master Wei before, thank you very much. Sun Xiaodong's family deliberately surrendered to Zhang Jingfeng, full of malice, causing constant buzzing in the square. Who would have thought that Wu Yuanlai's hand would also cast a sympathetic look on Gu Yao, and he would replace Zhang Jingfeng by these three products. The alchemists suppressed them together, so I wondered if they could hold back. General Manager, Chen Xiaodong's family continued to work hard. Kui Danji is on my side, please don't remember wrong, General Manager. Gu Yao grinned at his teeth. These monks have been cultivating for quite a few years, but this way of doing things really made him not know what to say. He looked at Su Chen, and asked through voice transmission, Senior, do you want to come on stage to play? Do you think it's more interesting to startle them? At this time, all eyes were focused on Gu Yao's side. Seeing that he hadn't come to power yet, he thought he was afraid. Zhang Jingfeng didn't understand what he meant, so he could hear his voice transmission in Qi Changjai, and his eyes couldn't help smile. Su Chen slapped his thigh, okay. I'll go play with you. Is it okay to have two alchemists under Zhang Xiao's name? The audience is about to explode. What does this mean? Emotional Zhang Jingfeng is still hiding an alchemist here? Or a third-grade alchemist? Zhang Jingfeng opened his mouth in shock. He didn't even know it, but now it seems that the senior Su is also an alchemist. If Gu Yao has such confidence in him, it is impossible to be worse than him. Ji Yu came to his mind, he didn't expect Gu Yao to bring him such a big surprise. No problem, of course no problem. Senior Su, go up anyway, Chief, I'm right. The chief executive was also stunned for a moment. Although it is customary for one person to compete on the stage, there is no express statement that two people cannot be on the stage at the same time. He glanced at Wu Yuan. Wu Yuan's eyes turned red, because he was angry. He thought that Zhang Jingfeng was deliberately concealing the news, and he was caught off guard at this critical moment. The chief executive said there was no problem, so Gu Yao and Su Chen came to the stage hand in hand.